Hi and welcome back to fearmeitsbre. It's been 2 weeks since I last recorded. Sorry for that. 1 week, I believe it or not, the first week I did actually record an episode, but everything was just so against me in the creation of that episode and just chaos of my life just being busy that day that I just ended up giving up and not releasing it. And I actually just deleted it. I thought about putting it out, but it's kind of old news at this point. I don't remember what it was about, and it just doesn't flow well, just because there was just so much other stuff going on that I was not focused at all. So I just deleted it instead of putting it out. And then last week I had the misfortune of having fever, flu, and all of the fun stuff all at once. Maybe it's COVID. I don't know. I just probably got a ding on my video for that. But whatever it was, I had it. I had it from, Monday to Friday. It wasn't much fun. There was one day where I was all body aches, pains, and just miserable. My husband was like, yeah, when you went to sleep a few of those nights, you were dead. And then one night I woke up and was like, oh, the fever broke, because I just was miserable and sweaty and it just was not fun. And I'm over that. I'm no longer dying. I got better that Friday, and then we just had kind of a quiet weekend. And then, this week started and we jumped right back into life because it got busy again. So that's why I've been MIA for 2 weeks, even though I was like, yep, we're going to do a video once a week. So here we are finally doing that video once a week. I have a few things I want to jump into. We're going to be talking about Gen Z's aversion to long hair now, apparently, which I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I a part of this generation? If you could choose a generation, this would not have been my pick, but alas, here I am. See, the weird thing about me is I am the beginning of Gen Z. I'm one of the first Gen Z, but all my siblings are millennials. So I was raised, I think that would make my parents, I don't think they're Gen X, I think they're boomers. So you know what I mean? I was raised amongst millennials, and then my siblings were all older than me, old enough that I would spend time with them as kind of almost like another mother figure in my life kind of thing, because my sister and I, who are closest in age, are 9 years apart. So it's that kind of thing where even though I'm technically Gen Z, I feel like I identify more with the millennial generation because that's just what all my siblings are. And the traits and things I've picked up would be, I feel like, more there than where down here in Gen Z where I should be. So I don't know. Maybe that's part of why, I'm that weird generation that, I was alive through 9/11, but I don't remember it. I was, 3? I just hit the cutoff of being able to remember it, even though I was alive, because I was born in 1998. I remember when we switched from a VHS to a DVD, I used to have a Walkman with the headphones and the cassette tape. So I'm that weird child of the Y2K transition into the 2000s, where it's I have vague memories of the early 2000s. I wouldn't say the 90s because I was 2 when the 90s ended, but almost 3, right? 2 or 3, whatever it was. It's not like I have memories from the 90s, but I have siblings who were in high school in the 90s, and I feel like that's just kind of made me relate more with the millennial mindset than the Gen Z mindset, which I have a lot of people are like, oh, you're only 25, and I'm like, yeah, they think that I'm older. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you think I'm younger than I am. It just depends on that person's perspective of me and how they know me. But in a lot of cases, I have people that are shocked. In some places that I've worked, I had people that were shocked that I was the same age as them and not 5 years older than them, or they thought that I was. And I was like, no, I'm also 20 years old. I had that kind of stuff a lot. But anyway, I digress. Just to say, I don't understand why Gen Z is canceling long hair, because I think that long hair is beautiful on women. I've had short hair. I've had bobs. I've had my hair doesn't look good on me. I will say that. But we're going to talk about that. I did not watch the entire Republican debate. I've watched clips from it. So we're going to play a couple of Vivek ones that I enjoyed. And we're also going to talk about the future, most likely presidential candidate, Governor Newsom, because he's Newsom the nuisance, I guess. I don't know. the Newsom. I don't know. I got to come up with a name for him. But we're going to talk about that. Before I do, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Rumble at fearmeitsbre. I finally figured out how to get my Rumble channel to do what I want it to. Thank you to Frida, the Based Babe, for that, because she helped me with that. So I'm going to be uploading more regularly to Rumble. And the channel that I upload the most to is the one that you should go and follow, and it's going to be the one that is Fear Me It's Brie. So without further ado, we are going to jump into Gen Z canceling long hair. And I'm going to butcher this word. Is it Chugi? I don't know. See, I'm Gen Z, but I'm not Gen Z. Okay. Gen Z is canceling long hair. Long hair is Chugi? I don't know. Somebody explain it to me. Gen Z might be over long hair, but does that mean you should chop your locks too? No, it doesn't, ladies. Please keep your hair. If your hair is long and beautiful, keep it that way. I have friends who've had pixie cuts and they can pull them off great. And I think it's really dependent on face shape, because I have a thin face, but I have a round face. My skull is round. So if I do I've never done a pixie, but I've gotten pretty close. I'm like looking at myself to see if I'm like doing the correct length. But when I've had my hair very, very short, because I have a rounded skull, I just kind of get, and I kind of look pudgy when I do it. So some people can pull it off really well, but you have to have that point to your chin that I do not have. So I will never be attempting this again. My goal actually, and now my goal even harder because of this, was to grow my hair out as long as I could possibly stand it. So I haven't really cut my hair in the last year and a half, except for like trimming the ends to keep it healthy. Because who doesn't want to be a Viking princess, right? So or like a Celtic goddess or something. So I'm going to be growing my hair out as long as I can stand it. And now that I see this, which most of the stuff that Gen Z does annoys the daylights out of me, I want to grow my hair out even longer, that much harder. So yeah, I guess it's being canceled. And we'll look at the EV article on why, because I thought it was kind of a fun thing to pull up out of the ordinary of what we usually talk about. I decided to cut my hair earlier this year. It was the shortest I've ever gone. I wasn't inspired by trendsetter Hailey Bieber, who debuted with a bob in January 2023, but other women were. I have had long hair for years and I wanted something different, which, you know, women do that. Ugh, I got the wrong coffee this time around. Our flavor that we normally get is like the donut shop one or the breakfast blend, and they were out of those, so I just grabbed like a medium dark roast, and it just is not doing it for me. I don't normally put this much sugar in my coffee, but because the roast is it's a cheaper dark roast, so it tastes kind of burned, you need more sugar in it to mask that. So I won't be buying this one again, but it's a necessity. Anyway, besides Bieber's big influence in the social media beauty sphere, I'm sure other girls who ran the salon felt the same way as I did. Either that, or they wanted something more low maintenance. I will say, having short hair like that is not low maintenance, okay? I had to blow dry, I had to style. Granted, this is pretty high maintenance too. It's nice to use less shampoo, I'll say that. I remember when I first cut my hair like short like that, and I was just like, whoa, I don't need any shampoo, this is amazing. And my shampoo lasted twice as long as normal, maybe more. But it's not necessarily low maintenance. Like, this girl's got a stylist, right? Or is this? No, that's not Hailey Bieber. But you know what I mean? Like, if you're Hailey Bieber, you've got a stylist who's always going to make you look salon fresh. I was a average mom who didn't have that. And it is still very high maintenance. When you have short hair like that, don't be fooled. A long mane is beautiful, but takes forever to dry and style. No, it doesn't actually. If you flip your head upside down and just blow dry your hair upside down for a bit, and then flip it back over and then finish it off with the blow dryer, it actually blow dries really fast and is crazy voluminous. I did not do that today, but normally that is what I do. A long mane is beautiful, but takes forever to dry and style. Conversely, short hair makes your outfits look cool and takes less time to maintain. But does it mean it's truly over for the Rapunzel aesthetics? Considering I still see a lot of young women with long hair, probably not. But according to influencer Lauren Geraldo, going short is a hot trend right now. It feels like everyone's collectively deciding long hair is shoogy, she says in a viral TikTok. As someone who's had the same long hair for the past, I don't know how many years, like, I get it. Geraldo continues, there is something so effortless about this, but you know, what I think it actually is. The short hair says, B, I know how to serve face. She's right. Women who can pull off bobs or pixies well tend to have stunning faces. Like I said, it's true. They tend to have that, let's see if I'm right, but they tend to have that more pointed chin, the more chiseled cheekbones. I don't have that. So if I did that, take for instance Taylor Hill, one of the many models who's certainly been due to her long hair. She looks good with any hairstyle, but her cute curls bring out her jawline and her features even more. Yep, you've got to have that more square or pointed jawline for it to work out, or you'll make the mistake I made. Granted, I was a little heavier too when I had my bob, so it just everything was against me. And then I was pregnant within like a month or two of that, so I just got bigger. So, you know, it is what it is. But I don't think I'll do that again. Gen Z is influenced to cut their hair. Men don't seem to love short hair as much as girls do, and I will say that for sure. Like, my husband has always told me that whatever I do, I'm beautiful. Like, you know, he loves me no matter what I do, but he does have his preferences of, please do not get a pixie, to, you look good with the short hair still, but the long hair, he loves the long hair on me. And I found that just like other men that I've known who are with friends of mine, or like have dated friends of mine, or married to friends of mine, a lot of them tell me, yeah, you know, he liked it when I had the short hair, or he liked the picture of me when I had the pixie cut, but he really tells me now that he's glad that I have long hair because he likes it so much better. And that seems to be an attribute that men are attracted to, is probably the femininity and the gracefulness of the long hair look. Like, even the Bible has verses about, like, you know, a woman's hair being ornate and braided, and just, you know, that's having your hair covered so that you're not distracting men during worship. Like, that was a very, like, the long hair was almost like a signet of beauty in the standard of the time, and I still think that it is. I love a woman with, okay, that sounds weird, but I love seeing like women with just long hair, like that Celtic, almost druid look, or like Viking princess kind of look, like I said. I love that aesthetic. And I'm just like, no, don't cut it off. You could do that. It'll look so great on you. But anyway, moving on. Actually, let me clarify. Women like trends more than older men do. I say older because Gen Z guys don't appear to care much about short locks. Many of them have also opted for baggy pants instead of skinny jeans, another fashion trend that's taken over. But anyway, we know that young women are often on TikTok, a platform that contains unique looking girls. No, really, they all look the same. They're all either like blonde and one way, or they're like pixie cut punks. Like, TikTok is just so, everyone on it has the same niche, and it's just boring. When stumbling upon an influencer with short hair, some think, I want to do that to my hair too. We think it's cute and chic, and we love how it makes the face the focal point. If they can pull it off, you can too, right? Think hard before you grab the scissors. Agreed. In 2020, I decided, hey, I'm bored, can't go anywhere, I'm gonna cut my bangs. And I'll say that they actually, for home cut bangs, they looked good. And then I decided a few days later, you know, those are too long. And then I tried to trim them, destroyed them, and I'll never do it again. Except that's not always the case. Don't do it, warns a woman named Jasmine in a hilarious response to Geraldo. Don't listen to her. I know, blow drying your long hair, your shoulder-length hair with your long layers, ponytails, crazy buns. I get it. She continues. Jasmine paints the hilarious picture of her audience going to the salon for something low maintenance and being happy with the results, and then adds, she's going to leave you looking gorgeous. Yeah, you're going to look beautiful, no doubt in my mind. Literally. This man said, I'm tired of seeing girls rock that Lord Farquaad bob. Yeah, that's the thing, right? You think you look so hot with your hair bobbed, and then you're like, oh no, what have I done? My first response when I saw like the Gen Z trend of like, yeah, let's just chop it off and have the bobs, is I was like, all right, you can look like Shorty over here, and I'll continue looking like a druid. Okay? But the new hair won't last forever. 2 or 3 days later, you're like, I have to wash my hair, and then you like style your own hair, and then what you're gonna look like that. Jasmine explains, pointing to a photo of Lord Farquaad. And for anyone who might not know, that's that character from Shrek that we just saw that horrendous image of. Hate him so much. Did I love my hair short? Yes, I did. However, I also struggled to style it. And I definitely resembled the Shrek character instead of giving off cool vibes. So next time you're thinking about copying Hailey Bieber's hair, just make sure you watch tutorials on how to style a bob. And that is the thing. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm judgmental against any woman who cuts her hair short, because I'm not. But I'm just saying like, another Gen Z trend that's like, no, I'm going to keep my long hair. I'm not going to follow my generation because they don't know what they're doing half the time. Literally as I'm wearing my question the status quo shirt. I feel like that's weirdly appropriate. So I don't know. That's probably like of no interest to anybody, but I figured that would be fun to start with. What are your thoughts? Women, men, whatever you are. Do you prefer women with long hair? Do you prefer women with short hair? Do you prefer hair that's down to your ankles? Do you prefer hair that hits the chin? Do you prefer women with short spiky hair? What is the most, I almost said the most beautifulest. What is the prettiest hairstyle on a woman in your opinion? Curious to see what people say. And then after that, we're going to hop over to probably Gavin Newsom in California, because I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure Gavin Newsom is going to run for president in 2024. He's become like Biden's, where'd it go? He's become like a aide to Biden or something, basically. Again, I have been out kind of seeing things, but I've been like out of it for the last week, so I feel like I'm waking up again and I'm like, oh, what's going on in the world? Oh, crud, it's worse than I left it. That's kind of how I feel right now. But we're going to hop over to this one, I guess. Gavin, as the GOP presidential candidates debate, Democrats unleash top attack dog, Gavin Newsom. So I guess Gavin was at the debate last night in place of Biden or something. Governor Gavin Newsom has largely served as a cheerleader on the sidelines of President Biden's re-election bid this year, fawning over his record in the White House to Democratic donors and slapping down criticism about the president's age on the national news. And he's clearly he wants a shot at the White House. On Wednesday, Newsom graduated the starting lineup. The Biden campaign deployed Newsom to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum in Simi Valley, site of the Republican presidential debate, as the president's chief defender and leader of the Democratic offense. It is offensive, though. I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know if we all remember, but Gavin Newsom's wife came out, was it over the summer, and talked about how, yes, I did kill my little sister when I backed over her with a golf cart or ran over her with a golf cart or something like that. And for some weird reason, addressed the story that nobody cared about and nobody really knew about, brought it out to light, and was like, yes, that did happen. And, you know, the grief has carried with me, whatever she was saying about it. Why would she pull up a story from the past that nobody knows about and nobody cares about, unless she's hoping to get ahead of some kind of headline in 2024 around the election when they pull up Gavin Newsom's wife does X? Right? She's trying to get on top of things. They're trying to get everything out in the open that might hinder his election or him being able to run. That's the going theory, is that he is looking at a presidential run. And I would not be surprised. And my hair keeps catching the mic. Before the debate began and after it wrapped up, Newsom held court among reporters, answering every question volleyed. His appearance came on the heels of more than a dozen one-on-one media interviews staged at a nearby hotel Wednesday. Gavin Newsom is also debating Ron DeSantis. Why would he be debating? I mean, two governors debating is an interesting concept, right? Because we look at Florida and Florida's response to COVID, and we look at California and their response to COVID, and you take the two and you kind of like compare them and say like, okay, well, this governor did this one did this. Yes, it'll be very interesting to hear the two of them hash it out. At the same time, why is Ron DeSantis wasting his time debating somebody who is not running for the presidential ticket? Why is Gavin Newsom debating somebody who is running for the presidential ticket unless he himself is planning on jumping on that train and running for president? And then that would make that debate, I guess, even more meaningful, because then it's like, okay, two presidential contenders are now debating each other. I thought, though, that there was a caveat or a rule of some kind that you couldn't have you couldn't debate outside of the Republican like national convention. Maybe it's a presidential debate. Maybe it might be that he's fine to debate Newsom because he's not running for president, but any kind of debate outside of like presidential, okay, that makes sense. Because I was like, wait a minute, I thought he couldn't debate people if he was doing that, but I think he can. As long as Newsom doesn't announce he's running for president before the debate. I believe that's how it goes. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. This is maybe a vice presidential debate. These guys are getting lapped by Donald Trump. It's not even close. It's not even interesting. Newsom said before the debate, adding that he's baffled the candidates haven't done more to run against Trump. Okay, so if Newsom is praising Trump, but he's saying, oh, you know, Trump is obviously the clear contender here. These guys are all fighting amongst each other for his vice presidency. These guys don't stand a chance against Trump. Why is Gavin Newsom propping Trump up so much unless he's going to come out and say, you know, these guys don't stand a chance against President Trump, but I do. I can take down Trump. I can defeat Trump. Right? It makes sense. I enjoy defending our values and freedom. What freedom? I enjoy defending democracy. I enjoy exposing the hypocrisy of the other side that claims freedom and yet they're denying young women the right to reproductive care. And there we go. I'm not even going to go into it. Newsom said of the anti-abortion stances of the GOP candidates on stage. Actually, from what I was getting, I don't think Nikki Haley was super pro-life. She said some stuff about it last debate that I was like, that's a red flag. You say you're pro-life, but you also say this. I don't believe you. Same thing about, I know that Ron DeSantis passed the 6-week abortion ban in Florida quietly. Like, you know, he kind of did it without fanfare and kind of just slipped it through, which I found interesting. Originally, a year prior, he passed the 15-week abortion ban, or 16-week. I want to say it was 15, and was fine with stopping at that point, it seemed. So I find it interesting that, you know, when he was trying to garner support for re-election, he was fine with stopping at 15 weeks and didn't care to go any further till he got pushed by the legislator and the people of Florida and said, no, we want more. And now that he's not up for re-election in Florida, he quietly was like, yep, sure, we'll sign that in the dead of night, put it through. And then, you know, people freaked out because the pro-abortion side was like, you did what now? Because it was such a kind of like don't get me wrong, I'm glad he did. I'm glad that he listened to the people of Florida and he did it. But people are saying that he's a pro-life white knight. And I don't think that he is. People did that with Trump as well, where they were like, oh my gosh, he's so pro-life. You know, he did this, he did that. He made overturning Roe v. Wade possible, which he did. He appointed the judges who overturned Roe v. Wade, some of them. And, you know, he did a lot for the pro-life movement, but he also blamed the pro-life movement for his loss in, what was it, the midterm? Yeah, he blamed the pro-life movement for the Republican or the conservative loss in the midterms and said they were too pro-life, they were too far with it, they were too this. And then he came out with that interview or whatever where he said that, you know, oh, Florida's going too far, they shouldn't do the 6-week ban, they should do the 15th week ban, where he's kind of trying to play to both sides here, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of what Governor DeSantis did with his re-election. He played to both sides, played the safe 15-week card. Trump's doing the same thing, so you can't criticize one and not criticize the other here. Again, I'm glad they are doing these things and they're going toward a more widespread abortion ban. But I don't know that the motives, just like with Trump, I don't know if DeSantis' motives are 100% because he believes in the sanctity of life. We'll find out. I don't know. So we'll see. But anyway, I digress from where I was. Not all of them are anti-abortion on that stage, I don't believe. The decision to tap him as a surrogate for Biden, a surrogate or replacement. Tasked with rebutting a GOP narrative about the president's failed leadership by touting the country's economic growth over the last 3 years underscores his elevated role within the re-election campaign. The strategy allows the president to take advantage of the governor's strength as an unabashed fighter for the democratic values and could put to rest speculation about Newsom's 2024 presidential aspirations. No, I think that it kind of strengthens my speculation about it, because we had Biden not campaigning and not doing anything in 2020. He just hid in the basement. I mean, Trump's been weird with like not showing up at stuff, but at the same time, I think he has that confidence of, I don't even need to show up at this stuff. Listen, I've got my supporters. I'm trying to play to both sides here. I'm trying to be more moderate. I'm trying to pull independent voters. And from what I'm seeing, a lot of independent voters like that about him and they like him. I think he's playing his cards very well in it. Would I like to see him debate people? Yes, I would. But I'm sure that will come if he gets the nominee against whoever unless it's Biden. Biden doesn't do debates. He's refused, right? The DNC is not doing any debates for some reason, which is concerning because that vote blew no matter who. Like, all right, you're just going to fall in line lockstep without hearing any of the guys and what they have to say? It's Biden's running, Kennedy's running, I forget who else is running. You know what I mean? You kind of forget there's other people running because they refuse to show you the ones that they don't want on the ticket. They only show you the one that they do want you to vote for. Whereas like Republicans get some things wrong too, but at least they're showing you the candidates, right? At least you can see from Chris Christie to Vivek Ramaswamy, you can see the candidates you have out there. You can see who your picks are. Granted, like, there's some that it's like, what are you doing on this stage? You're not going to go anywhere. And then there's others like DeSantis and Vivek where it's like, yeah, okay, for sure. You two are contenders here. Are you contenders for Trump? I don't know. But amongst each other, I think you two are the strongest contenders, and it will be very interesting to see you continue to go at each other. At least the Republican side has that. But I digress. For Newsom, the role accumulates his journey from rogue agitator who angered National Democrats last year when his said allies had no game plan against Republicans to a new position as a team player trying to collapse support of Biden. Feels more appropriate, though, than what they say. Trying to coalesce support around Biden. It works to their mutual benefit, said John Pitney, a professor of politics at Claremont McKenna, Georgia. Biden takes a potential party critic and turns him into an ally. And Newsom gets an abundant national exposure. So it's a win-win. Yes, because Newsom wants national exposure. Why does the governor of California want national exposure? And just like with Ron DeSantis, before he announced he was running for president, he was doing things on a national level that people were like, dude, you're running for president. It's very, and he was like, no, I'm not. You are. No, I'm not. You are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing these things. You'd be focusing on these things instead. You'd be focusing more on Florida. Newsom is doing the same thing, where he's focusing his attention, I feel like, on running for president. That I'm fairly certain we're going to get an announcement from him eventually. Biden keeps saying, no, I'm going to run. I'm running, blah, blah, blah. Whereas, his handlers are like, well, we're going to think about that. I have a feeling they don't want him to run. They want Gavin Newsom to run. So they're kind of like sliding him in so that they can slide Biden out. That's just where it seems like it's going to go. Careful not to get too far in front of the Democratic Party's leader, the governor has kept the president's team abreast of his multiple forays into national politics since last year, asides to both men said. Biden's campaign was made aware before Newsom kicked off his campaign for democracy in March to support Democratic candidates across the country and boost his profile among national voters. The governor's team also spoke with Biden's staff before he appeared on Sean Hannity's show over the summer, in which he fiercely defended the president. At the time, the Biden campaign had already tapped Newsom to serve on a committee of surrogates, which was put together shortly after the president announced in April his plans to run for re-election. His performance during the Hannity interview gave Biden's team more confidence in Newsom's effectiveness. More recently, Newsom's advisors checked in with the president's campaign before sending a formal proposal to Republican presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis for a one-on-one debate. Again, why would he send in to a debate Ron DeSantis unless he sees, I would say that Gavin Newsom probably sees his biggest contenders as, I'm either going to be running against Trump or I'm going to be running against Ron DeSantis. And I think that Trump is kind of hard to get. I don't think Trump would sit down on a one-on-one debate with Gavin Newsom. Ron DeSantis has something to prove, right? He's coming up in the world. He's running for president. He's got something to prove, and I think he takes the bait a little easier than Trump. So, of course, he's going to say, sure, I'm going to smoke ya, because these two men have had such opposing responses to things that it will be an interesting debate, I suppose. But he sees, well, if I can't get Trump, I'll get the next best contender and I'll take him down. So I think that Newsom wants to debate Ron DeSantis, maybe to humiliate him, to bring him lower, to make people lose faith in him or something, so that if Ron DeSantis did get the ticket and Newsom got the ticket, he would feel like he had a leg up on him, is what I'm assuming is what's going on here. The debate with Florida governor, which Fox announced will take place in late November, will give Newsom another opportunity to continue to demonstrate his support for the president, bash DeSantis on the national stage, and show other Democrats how to forcefully and aggressively defend a progressive worldview. And that's him at the debate. Ahead of the presidential election, the California governor has sought to define DeSantis voters as right-wing bullies intent on rolling back abortion. Good. Immigration. Good. and LGBTQ rights. Before and after Wednesday's debate, Newsom taunted DeSantis for his declining poll numbers, saying that even though he challenged the Florida governor to the forum, it's disqualifying for DeSantis to do it because he took his eye off the ball running for president. If you can go to... there we go. That's what I was just saying. He's trying to bring him down to his level. Again, I'll read that again. Newsom taunted DeSantis for his declining poll numbers, saying even though he challenged the Florida governor to the forum, it is disqualifying for DeSantis to do it because he took his eye off the ball running for president. If you can goad someone this easy, can you imagine what Kim Jong-un or Vladimir Putin could do with this guy? Newsom said, referring to the leaders of North Korea and Russia. So basically, Newsom is saying, I hit him in his pride. I was able to get him to react to me. Yep, I'm right. I think I'm right. On Tuesday, while standing in a field of parsley in Ventura County to announce the United Farm Workers' endorsement of the president, Biden campaign manager Julie Chavez Rodriguez called Newsom an asset to the campaign. He's been tremendously helpful in helping to raise money, getting on the airwaves, and making sure people know what this president has done and what's at stake for this election. Why would he be doing that, though, unless there was genuinely something for him? Chavez Rodriguez said Newsom and other governors are especially well positioned to speak out about the benefits states receive from legislation such as the Inflation Reduction Act and CHIPS and Science Act, both of which will end up sending billions of dollars in federal assistance to California. Oh, California. Maybe if it was not mismanaged by Governor Newsom, it would not need funding to prop it up. Though it is possible that Newsom, with his young family and youthful enthusiasm, could inadvertently draw attention to the president's age by comparison, Pitney said most voters already are aware that Biden is an octogenarian. If you're not aware that he's a geriatric, you need to have your head examined. The role continues to boost Newsom's national profile and leaves him in a prime position to step up if, for some reason, Biden cannot continue his campaign, and we'll see what that reason ends up being as the months progress. Newsom took advantage of the spotlight even as he emphasized to anyone who asked that he wasn't running for president next year, just like Ron DeSantis did, and he's running for president, that he was here at the Biden campaign's request. I think it is pretty clear that unless there's a medical issue, I'm sure there will be, Biden will be the nominee, Pitney said. Both parties are running very elderly men, and medical issues could happen. See, they're conditioning you to say, well, anything's possible, I guess. And might be nice to have the tall, dashing, handsome young guy. Being facetious, he is not handsome. He looks like a vampire. The tall, dashing, handsome young guy over here to just swoop in and take the place of the geriatric guy we're going to wheel out in a coffin at this point, probably. Look at Dianne Feinstein. They will not let these people leave these positions. Look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She held on to her position so long because they were like, we can't let a conservative judge get in there. We can't let a conservative judge get in there. That, I can't remember if she retired and then died or if she died or however it worked out, but she held the position so long that she lined it right up perfectly for Trump to appoint a new judge and did exactly what they were trying to prevent. We need term limits. We can't have geriatric corpses running the country. Newsom's campaigning for Biden came after he criticized the National Democratic Party last year for not doing enough to criticize the Republican agenda. Though he was careful to say he wasn't talking about Biden, the president is seen as the leader of the party, and his comments stung some national Democrats. Some of Newsom's most pointed critiques came after the U.S. Supreme Court's decision last year in the Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization, which allowed states to outlaw abortion for the first time in half a century. Okay. I hate it when people are like, we just banned abortion at a national level. No, Roe v. Wade. And it's like, no. Roe v. Wade was determined unconstitutional. And it handed the states, just like how the original intent of this country was, the states now have the individual powers to decide what's too far and what's, in Colorado, right? Is it Colorado? There's abortion without restriction. In Texas, they have the heartbeat laws, right? I believe. So now it is up to the states to decide within their legislature. I live in a state, unfortunately, that is much more liberal with abortion than I would like. I've been a part of trying to change that. And unfortunately, our legislator has said we will not listen to the people. We will not listen to the countless numbers that have come out in protest or have testified in our state house against the bills that are pushing abortion further and further into an extreme. But it is now at the state level, and it is up to you within your state to decide whether or not you're going to allow that to happen. Instead of at the national level. And I know that there's some debate whether or not it's good or bad that Roe v. Wade was overturned, because on one hand, having the states decide, in California, you can kill your baby for whatever reason you want. And in, Florida, they now have the 6-week ban. So should it be up to the states to decide that? Because now that Florida couple could go to California and have an abortion, and now that baby's life, suddenly I don't want to say the value of their life, but suddenly the definition of their life has changed because they've crossed a border. Should it be banned should it be a national law, or should it be states? I can see where it can be abused if it's a national thing, because then you could nationally say no restrictions on abortion, what you will, whenever you want, how you want. So there's some odd precedents that it sets where it's like, okay, I think I am okay. I think that I am happy that they overturned Roe v. Wade, but I am also unhappy that my state has chosen to allow extreme abortions and allow abortion up to the point of birth, right? I would prefer my state to change that law to as restricted as possible, if not outright banned. But that's not going to happen anytime in the future. Whereas if it was a national thing, then maybe you could blanket it, but Roe v. Wade has been deemed unconstitutional. So now it is up to the states again. So there is that weird, like, okay, on one hand, I'm happy that Roe v. Wade was overturned. But on the other hand, does that create a bigger problem depending on, I would say it doesn't, because now states are able to decide whether or not. So there is some states that had freer abortion rules that are now more restricted. So I guess it is good. It's just one of those weird conundrums where it could go one of both ways. But anyway, back to this article. And oh no, I've got lag going on the recording. Oh, great. Hopefully it's not. Well, we'll see. We wouldn't be the Democratic Party if we didn't have some sort of disagreement on what we should do and how we should do it. That's just politics in general. Los Angeles-based Democrat strategist Danielson just said, she said candidates from her party had previously been reluctant to lead with messaging that centers on reproductive rights, which proved to be a crucial issue in propelling Democrats in last year's midterm elections. I know when our governor was running again, literally, like, her opponent, who was a past governor, he had ads about the economy, fixing things. You know, every single ad for the incumbent who won again was abortion, women's reproductive rights, abortion, women's reproductive rights. While she also simultaneously said that we will not do anything to change the law in the books, we'll just keep it. And then when she was elected, what did they do? They put a new law in the books and they changed it. But it's a whole thing. But anyway, political ads, all I see from the Democrat side is, we want to kill your babies. That's like all I see. Whereas the Republican to the Libertarian to the more moderate third party sides are, here's some things we want to abolish because they suck. Here's some agencies we need to get rid of. This is why our economy's bad. Here's how we want to fix it. And it's like, I almost wonder if the abortion thing is going to fatigue people so much that they're like, okay, I'm tired of hearing about abortion, regardless of what side I'm on it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I just want to fix the economy. Can we please focus on that right now? I wonder if there's going to be like a pro-choice fatigue coming, but we'll see, because people are crazy. He was very outspoken and trying to push the party in a certain direction. I think he's always had a bit of an edge on point. This is just part of who he is, and it's in his DNA, and I think it worked out in 2022. California has been the policy forefront on a number of important issues, whether abortion or climate policy, and it is destroying the state, let me tell you. Before Biden took office, the state took a leading role in rebutting President Trump's policies on matters including immigration, and it's destroying the state. And the governor of the state, as the governor of the state, there's a responsibility to defend the policies we pushed here in California, whether it's protecting reproductive rights, workers' rights, and being a leader on climate action. Newsom is the perfect person to say if we want to continue to see the progress. Joe Biden is the answer. This is interesting. Still, Newsom did multiple television appearances reiterating one point, Biden won the debate and all these candidates are also Rands. I don't know what that means. Objectively, he is the winner tonight. That's not spin. These guys identified the problem. Biden actually has not only identified the solution, he's gotten bipartisan deals to begin the process of implementing those. Yeah, okay. We'll see. But I don't know. What do you think? I have a feeling that Gavin Newsom is going to put in a presidential bid soon, and I have a feeling that Biden is going to be phased out of the process fairly soon, because why? Why would you run a guy that has admitted and has actually said, I'm not going to live much longer. I could die in office. Why would you elect that? Why would you elect that? Right? Why would you put that as your, unless they have Newsom, they shuffle Kamala off to the side. You've had your first woman of color vice president. Big whoop. Good for you. And now we can get rid of her. We've had that happen. And chooses to run with Newsom instead. And he's not technically running for president, but oopsie, something happens to Biden in office. As he said, I'm not going to live forever here. And then Newsom just is like, oh, well, that's a terrible thing that, he passed away while in the office. And, I don't want to do this, but I guess I'm your president now. And I could see that happening. Anyway, that's my take on that. I have a feeling that we're going to be having a Newsom 2024 in the works. It just makes sense. And how hard they're saying, no, it's not. No, he's not running. He's not running. Don't think about it. He's not running. DeSantis did the same thing, and he's like running. My coffee's cold. Oh, well. Should have drank it instead of chattering. All right. There was another article I was going to pull up about California from the Associated Press. California is going to suck big time. So California Governor Newsom, we're going to fly through this one because it's not as big. I don't want to focus too much time on it, but we are going to talk about it just to show you another terrible policy that Gavin Newsom has implemented. All right, here we go. California Governor Gavin Newsom signs law to raise the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour. Good grief, man. $20 an hour. So I have a sister who worked at McDonald's in the 90s, early 2000s, I believe. Late 90s, early 2000s while she was in college. And she told me, her minimum wage was $7 something an hour, I believe. I could be wrong. But I remember her telling me that when she worked at McDonald's in college, she made $7 something an hour as a fast food worker, right? Fast forward to 2015, when I got hired at minimum wage for my first job, I was being paid $7.50 minimum wage. So in about, almost 15 or so years, minimum wage did not change that much where we live, right? It stayed about the same, give or take a few cents. Hers actually might have been 6 something, not 7 something. If anything, it only went up by like $1, right? In that 10 to 15 year period. From 2015, when I got hired, minimum wage at my first job, $7.50 an hour. Minimum wage where I am is now, is it 14? It might be 14. It was 12 last time I was working outside the home, which was a few years ago. I believe it's 14 now. I could be wrong, but I believe it is. It has doubled in 2015 to 2023, right? It's basically doubled. So for almost, 10 to 15 years, it basically stayed the same. And then all of a sudden it has, in this short span of time, not even 10 years, it has almost doubled where I live. So take my sister's minimum wage, right? When she started at 6 something to 7 something. And now imagine that the same job that she was doing, somebody is now going to be making $20 for behind the counter at McDonald's. That is insanity. And it's very disheartening. My husband has worked the same job for a while now. It is a heavy labor job where he is physically exerted. I'm not going to say how much he makes, but let's just say that this is sad because they're making almost what he makes. Minimum wage at McDonald's. How are they going to be able to afford to pay anybody anything? Right? So if you take a job like my husband's, to adequately pay somebody like him, you're going to have to give him a 10 to whatever dollar raise so that he's not making the same as the burger flipper. Not to say that the burger flipper is not an important person, but those jobs, unless you're planning on going into management. So I knew somebody who worked at a fast food place, and while she did it, she was also in business school. So she had that placeholder fast food job that she rose up in the ranks of, and her goal eventually was to buy some of the chains and run them. I'm not sure if she's done that yet, but I know that she's at a point where she's actually managing, and she's using that work to grow in that company and rise up in the ranks of that company. That's a rare case. Most people who join fast food restaurants or something like that are just doing it to pay their way while they're in college or extra cash. Like I did food service for a few years, literally just for extra cash. I didn't care that I didn't make more than minimum wage because that wasn't what I was intending on doing for the rest of my life. Most people at McDonald's are there because they're in college. They're there because this, they're because that. And that's a placeholder to give them income until they can get a better job in life later on. It is not supposed to be a livable wage in the sense of you aren't supposed to be running the cash register at McDonald's and buying a mansion with it, right? Obviously you need a livable wage, but what is a livable wage really? Is a livable wage a $7 Starbucks drink every day? Is that something you can live without? Can't you go to Walmart and buy the Great Value K-Cups for like $15 for a pack of 48? There you go, 48 days worth of coffee if you have 1 cup a day. You don't need to go spend $7 every day on Starbucks, okay? Right? Livable wage does not mean that you can have anything you want in the moment that you want it. It means that you are able to have a home, would have a roof over your head, shoes on your feet, clothes on your back, transportation, and everything else is not a necessity. It is a luxury, right? Sometimes you have to do the hard work and you have to live cheap to get somewhere later in life. And California is literally just like sliding into the ocean at this point. No wonder people are leaving in droves because it's going to get real bad fast when that goes into effect. Because now everything there's going to go up. I don't understand why people like AOC sit here and say, well, the solution is clearly we have to raise the minimum wage. The solution is that we have to raise the minimum wage because people like me have to have a livable wage. And if we don't have a livable wage, we can't do this, right? I can't live and I can't purchase my Starbucks because I only make X amount an hour. We have to bring up the minimum wage so that I can pay those prices. And it's like, no, you don't realize, you blithering idiot. You took economics. I took high school economics. I only did economics as far as high school. I never went to college. And I can understand that if you bring minimum wage up, you now have to pay those workers. So yes, your croissant is now going to be $7 instead of $3. Yes, the prices of the products around you are going to have to compensate for that. People are going to get laid off. People are going to get fired because, well, I have to pay you all $20 an hour and there's 10 of you. I can't do that. I'm going to have to cut this place in half and only have 5 of you on staff. And they wonder why these problems happen. They create them. And then they act like they don't know why their croissant is now $10 instead of $7. But I digress. So California fast food workers will be paid at least $20 per hour next year under a new law signed Thursday by Democratic Governor Biden-Newsom. So that's the thing, right? I know that minimum wage around me is like 14-ish. But I do see McDonald's, like if you go through the drive-thru, they'll have signs that say starting pay, depending on the position, up to $18 an hour or something like that. If the employer wants and has the money to pay their employees more because they're doing well, that's all well and good. If you're like, hey, listen, we're thriving. I'm not just going to pay you minimum wage if you come work for me. I'll pay you $4 above minimum wage. That is fantastic. And that is why minimum wage is a thing, right? So that if you have the means and you have the money and you want to really be in competition with fast food store across the street, you could say, listen, we'll pay you guys more if you come here. We won't just pay you minimum wage. That should be up to the employer. That should not be a forced decision. When it takes effect on April 1st, fast food workers in California will have among the highest minimum wages in the country, according to the data compiled by the University of California, Berkeley Center for Labor Research and Education. The state's minimum wage for all other workers, $15.50 per hour, is already among the highest in the United States. Cheering fast food workers and labor leaders gathered around Newsom as he signed the bill at an event in Los Angeles. So does that mean everybody else's minimum wage is going to be $15.50 and the only fast food workers is going to be $20? I'm a little confused on that. That's crazy. So if I work at Old Navy or Kohl's or Walmart, my minimum wage will be $15.50, but McDonald's or Wendy's or In-N-Out Burger, whatever they have over there, I'm not from California if you can't tell, they're going to be making $5 more than me almost. That doesn't make sense. This is a big deal, Newsom said. Yes, it is. I have a feeling he's trying to he doesn't care, and he's probably running California into the ground to the point where he's like, if I can't have it, no one can. He's just going to blow the place up, metaphorically, and then skip out and go be president. I feel like that's his goal. Newsom's signature on Thursday reflects the power and influence of labor unions. Oh yeah, labor unions. In the nation's most populous state, which have worked to organize fast food workers in an attempt to improve their wages and working conditions. It also settles, for now at least, a fight between labor and business groups over how to regulate the industry. In exchange for higher pay, labor unions have dropped their attempt to make fast food corporations liable for the misdeeds of their independent franchise operators in California, an action that could have upended the business model on which the industry is based. The industry, meanwhile, has agreed to pull a referendum related to work wages off the 2024 ballot. And this is for my ancestors. This is for all the farm workers. All the cotton pickers. This is for them. We should ride on their shoulders, said Anisha Williams, who works at the Jack in the Box restaurant in Southern California. California's fast food workers earn an average of $16.60 per hour. That is so much money. Oh my gosh. That is more than double. Listen, so in 2015, I got hired on as a seasonal employee at the job that I worked at, right? I left that job in 2018 because I was pregnant with my first, and at that point in time, I had worked my way in about, 3 or 4 years, I had worked my way up to the point where I was lower management, and I was now making double. I started at $7.50, and I was making almost $14 as a full-time manager, and I worked my butt off for that, right? I worked so hard to get to that point in time, and I left the job because I was pregnant and I needed something slower paced, and I ended up getting a slower paced job that I was able to do that with, which didn't really affect me much because my husband was working full time at his job. So it was extra income anyway until I had the baby. So I was okay with going back down to a minimum wage job. But the point is, it took me almost 4 years to double the money that I was making at this one specific location. $16.60 is $3 more than that almost. That blows my mind that we've hit that point in such a short amount of time. And now me as a full-time manager at my former job making almost 14, and then they're going to be making 20 for McDonald's. That's insane to me. It's absolutely insane. Just over $34,000 per year, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. That is below the California poverty measure for a family of 4. So, again, what is a necessity and what is a want, right? Technically speaking, if you make 15 to 20 an hour, you are on the poverty line in America. But what is poverty in America? Poverty in America is I can't go get Starbucks every day, right? For the most part. I'm talking about people who have a steady job, have a roof over their heads, are getting by, it might be paycheck to paycheck, but they're getting by, right? That's considered poverty in America. I'm not talking about if you're homeless or this or this. I'm talking about, let's say the 30 to 40,000 a year, right? That is technically in a poverty level. Poverty in America is I can't go get Starbucks every day, because having a $7 to $10 Starbucks drink every day might drain my bank account pretty quick. Poverty in America, being on that poverty line is maybe when you get groceries, you don't get 20 different kinds of snacks. You get what you need. And if you have some extra money left over, maybe you do get those fudge rounds after all. Being on the poverty line in America is not destitute, dirty water. Oh my word, I have cholera and I'm living in a mud hut. We don't know what poverty is here. We have it so good that we need money to buy our fudge rounds, apparently. We need extra money to be able to go get the cookies that are killing us anyway. But I digress. In California, most fast food workers are over 18 and the main providers for the family, according to Enrique Loperliza, director of the University of Cal, blah, blah, blah. The $20 minimum wage is just a starting point. It's going to make everything go up, though. I just can't imagine. Jeez. Interesting. The raise takes effect on April 1st and applies to workers at restaurants that have at least 60 locations nationwide, with the exception for restaurants that make and sell their own bread, like Panera. That's interesting. But lawmakers passed a separate bill earlier this month that would gradually raise the minimum wage of healthcare workers to $25 per hour over the next decade. The raise wouldn't apply to doctors and nurses, but to most everyone else who works at hospitals, dialysis clinics, or other health care facilities. But unlike the fast food wage increase, which Newsom helped negotiate, the governor has not said if he would sign the raise for healthcare workers. The issue is complicated by the state's Medicaid program, which is the main source of revenue for many hospitals. The Newsom administration has estimated the wage increase would cost the state billions of dollars and increase payments to healthcare providers. So they're okay with giving some guy at McDonald's who's making a cheeseburger $20 an hour, but not their healthcare worker. It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, I think that I'm going to leave off with that this week because we've almost hit the hour mark. I did not watch the entire Republican debate. That's why I'm hesitant to go into some of the stuff I have pulled up about it. Again, I've watched chunks of it, but I don't have everything pulled up that I would probably want to talk about. So we're going to leave off on that. If you want to see me talking about the debate or what I think of things that were said, I guess go to my Twitter at fearmeitsbre because I've shared some stuff there and I will continue as I see them coming out. I'm going to probably end this video. I will see everybody next week at 6 p.m. on Thursday evening. I have an idea so I can't accept super chats because my account's so small and I doubt I'll ever get to a point where I will. But if you have any questions or anything that you would like answered maybe in the next video or any like things to throw out, throw them in the comments and I will look through that and I will start next week's video by answering questions in the comments that apply to the topics in the video or maybe something I didn't think about. I will read those eventually if I ever did get to the level where I could do super chats. I have the idea of doing it with that. Since these aren't live, if people super chatted, I would open the next video by reading them and answering the questions or answering the whatever's in them. Right now I can't do that because I don't do super chats, but if you do have a question or a comment, put it in the comments and I will look at that and I'll be sure to open up next week's video by addressing them. So thank you everybody for watching. I will be back next week and I hope everyone has a great rest of their week.